Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. In Chengdu of the flame-wind ancient country, the most transcendent of capital cities, none dared to be presumptuous, including the three powerful alien clans on the Land of Origin. At this moment, inside the Emperor Qing Palace, while the master is in closed-door meditation, no one can disturb him, a puppet creature said coldly as it stood outside the palace doors, facing the 8 figures before it. Marquis Di Fu and the other 7 emperors had gathered here. There has been a major incident, Di Fu began, one of the 13 emperors of our flame-wind ancient country, Emperor Yuan, has been murdered. This is no trivial matter, you should go and report to your master immediately. Although they had all sent messages to Emperor Qing, during his meditation, he uniformly ignored all communication. You, servant, report to your master at once, Emperor Di Yang rebuked. Hurry up and report, Emperor Jing Feng also urged. The puppet creature looked at the 8 emperors, expressionless, and shook its head. The master has ordered that no matter the significance of the event, he shall not be disturbed during his meditation. You, Emperor Chu, couldn't hold back. Did you not hear that Emperor Yuan has been murdered? Even if all the emperors were killed, it would not be permissible to disturb my master, the puppet creature said coldly. It would carry out the master's orders without exception, regardless of who came. The 8 emperors were fuming. What kind of reasoning was this? All the emperors dead, and Emperor Qing wouldn't care. This puppet servant is too inflexible, impossible to reason with, Di Kong also commented from the side. Enough, Di Fu said. Emperor Qing must be dealing with an important matter. Let's go to the ancestor. Although the 8 emperors were quite dissatisfied, none of them dared to forcefully enter Emperor Qing's place of meditation, and they could only leave helplessly. Within a hidden world in the flame-wind ancient country, there lay a simple and ancient cave mansion. The 8 emperors stood respectfully at the entrance of the mansion, not daring to show the slightest carelessness. Informing the ancestor, a black-robed figure accompanied by an old servant attacked and killed Emperor Yuan, forcing him to choose reincarnation. Di Fu reported respectfully at the entrance of the cave mansion. This black-robed figure is extremely powerful. All 8 of us together were no match for him, and he is suspected to be a being above a god king. How shall our flame-wind ancient country deal with this black-robed figure? Please instruct us, ancestor. After Di Fu finished speaking, the other 7 emperors also stood respectfully to the side, patiently awaiting a response. After a long time, the cave mansion was silent, with no response whatsoever. I have reported as well, but the ancestor has not responded. He must also be in meditation, Di Fu said to his companions. Following the rules, the ancestor will naturally become aware of everything once he comes out of his meditation. The other 7 emperors also felt helpless. If the ancestor's avatar were in an awakened state, it would have responded immediately. But if he was in meditation, when he would respond was uncertain. Let's go, they said. The 8 emperors could only leave, not daring to step into the simple and ancient cave mansion. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. All the powers on the Land of Origin could sense the complete disappearance of Emperor Yuan's causality. This signified Emperor Yuan was either dead for good, or had been forced into reincarnation. This was a matter of grave importance. Emperor Yuan is dead. A middle-aged man arrived at the previous battlefield. As he walked along the timeline of the past, he effortlessly discovered the pre-battle scene. The Iron Demon Lord was in a secret palace, while Emperor Yuan lurked nearby. Suddenly, the surrounding scene became indistinct. The killer must be at least of the ultimate realm, the middle-aged man murmured in astonishment, a perfection of the great Tao, leaving no trace behind. The battle made a huge commotion. I only saw from a distance the collision between the endless blood river and the 8-phase array of the 8 emperors, the middle-aged man mused. It's unclear who the killer is. Interesting. Daring to disrespect the ancestors of the 2 countries and killing Emperor Yuan, the middle-aged man was quite curious. The collision between the endless blood river and the primordial space 8 phases array was too terrifying to spy on. On the entire land of origin, only a few, such as the 3 alien clans, the Lord of 10,000 Realms, and the Heavenly Wood national boundary beast, could glimpse some traces. As for Luo Feng's appearance, no one had seen it. All parties investigating the truth could only deduce. Emperor Yuan was murdered by a being at least of the ultimate realm. Emperor Yuan, possessing a full set of super-secret treasures, died within moments. 8 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country combined their strength, and still couldn't save him. This news was also spread among the monarchs of the Thunder ancient country. These monarchs were also shaken. On the land of origin, it seemed as if the 2 ancient countries stood side by side. However, in terms of deterrence, the Thunder ancient country was a notch below the Flame-Wind ancient country, which after all had Emperor Qing. That murderer, if targeting any one of us monarchs, could easily kill us, they speculated. This person is very likely an existence above a god king. One glance could damage our minds and drive us mad. These monarchs felt unsettled, knowing well the clear flaw in those of them who cultivated the primordial bloodline. In the face of a being above a god king, just one look was enough to make them lose control. In the coming time, act more cautiously and identify the killer as soon as possible. These monarchs also became more wary. In the subsequent days, the entire land of origin was fraught with tension. The once high and mighty royal families of the 2 ancient countries had significantly reigned in their arrogance, and their acts of devouring countless creatures had completely ceased. Everyone knew that the culprit hated evil intensely. Our emperor from the flame-wind ancient country has been killed, for the first time in history. Emperor Yuan has been killed, and it's been quite a while. There's been no word of Emperor Yuan's return. Could he be truly dead? The 12 emperors personally tried to save him, but only managed to delay things a bit. Emperor Yuan had enough time for reincarnation. Probably he dares not return to the royal family, fearing that the killer will continue to pursue him. A group of marquises from Emperor Chu's lineage gathered and also discussed this matter. Now, at the gatherings of the royal families of the 2 ancient countries, the hot topic was the death of Emperor Yuan. The relationship between Emperor Chu's lineage and Emperor Yuan's lineage wasn't good. So these marquises discussed the topic with visible excitement. That killer hates evil. He probably doesn't even care about us from the primal chaos realm royal family, Emperor Chu Yu said with a smile. The gap in strength was too vast. The ordinary members of the imperial clan, on the other hand, were just onlookers. The ones truly uneasy were the godly kings of the second realm from the imperial clan, the emperors and monarchs, and those members of the royal family entangled in major sins. Emperor Qing Palace. Rumble tilde tilde tilde, the ancient Great Hall's doors finally opened. Emperor Qing, the most attached among the 13 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country, had emerged from seclusion, and this news quickly reached the ears of the other emperors. Instantly, Emperor Fu, Emperor Yang, Emperor Shi, and the others, whether in their true presence or as avatars, all rushed over. Please take a seat. Emperor Qing was seated at the head. The 11 emperors took their seats, all with submissive postures. They were well aware that although they all appeared to be emperors, they would soon have to leave the land of origin to venture forth. They were not on the same level as Emperor Qing, not even close. Emperor Qing, you should know about the matter, said Emperor Fu. What do you think we should do now? Ha ha. Emperor Qing sat there, and actually began to laugh. With Emperor Yuan's death, we in the flame-wind ancient country are down to 12 emperors. Emperor Fu and the other 11 emperors were somewhat speechless. Could Emperor Qing actually be laughing at such an event? Has Emperor Yuan returned to the royal family after his reincarnation? Emperor Qing asked again. A reincarnated identity is uncontrollable, and judging by the number of creatures in the land of origin, the likelihood of reincarnating into a tribe in the wilderness was highest. Emperor Yuan had the realm, and could quickly recover his strength in a short period. And he could even acknowledge his royal family. Confirming his identity was relatively easy, such as the few ultimate realm secret techniques that Emperor Yuan possessed, or the detailed merit points Emperor Yuan owed to the clan, which could easily confirm his identity. He has not returned, stated Emperor Fu. He owes the clan too much, without enough points to exchange for adequate resources to cultivate into an ultimate realm life form again. He's quite clever, nodded Emperor Qing. As long as he doesn't reveal himself, no one will know his reincarnated identity, making it the safest option. Emperor Yang also spoke up. Emperor Qing, are we just going to let this go? It's a minor issue, why bother making too much of it, replied Emperor Qing lightly. He considered it merely an amusement. A minor issue. Emperor Di Wu could not help but interject. The death of one of 13 emperors affects the entire royal family of the flame-wind ancient country. Emperor Qing's gaze fell on Emperor Di Wu. Emperor Di Wu's heart trembled, and he did not dare speak further. They haven't died completely, they've all reincarnated. What's there to fuss about? Emperor Qing's gaze swept over the seated 11 emperors. You've been living too comfortably in the land of origin, this small setback is nothing. Emperor Qing had left an avatar in the land of origin, but he had already started venturing outside. The outside world was where true life and death struggles lay in darkness. That was where the real perils lurked. In the outside world, at best one's avatar would die in battle, losing many precious treasures accumulated. At worst, it would affect the avatar in the source world, leading to complete obliteration. Even the ancestors of the two countries tread carefully, cautiously venturing outside. In Emperor Qing's view, the land of origin was far too safe. These emperors had become too complacent. Yes, said Emperor Fu. Compared with venturing in the outside world, the land of origin's issues are indeed minor. But we still need a plan of action. You 8 acting together already possess might reaching the limit of the land of origin, said Emperor Qing leisurely. Combined with the array formation's secret treasure, even surpassing the emperor level in the intricacy of the moves. Even under such circumstances, you were suppressed by that black-robed individual. Black-robed? Either he's of a very high realm, or he relies on a tremendously powerful secret treasure. In any case, his endless blood river, its realm is even higher than your formation, Emperor Qing shook his head. Even if I took action, it would barely be a match. Even if I had the upper hand, I would not be able to defeat him. Under the rules of the land of origin, even an ancestor wouldn't be able to get the better of him, said Emperor Qing. The 11 emperors remained silent. Do not rush into battle heedlessly, Emperor Qing advised the 11 emperors. In the future, when you leave the land of origin, you will encounter many more powerful individuals. You should learn to make friends, or at least not make too many enemies. If this black-robed individual reaches above God King in the land of origin, and becomes invincible, then we need to think of a way to coexist with him, Emperor Qing said with a smile. If we can't kill him, we'll have to adapt to him. The 11 emperors also understood the reasoning, but for the domineering flame-wind ancient country royal family to now adapt to this black-robed individual. We're willing to make friends with him, but what if he continues to be hostile towards us and strikes us down? Emperor Yang inquired. Emperor Qing gave a slight smile. If we proactively seek friendship, and he still affronts us, then we become enemies. Once enemies, we'll kill him whenever we encounter him outside the land of origin. In the outside world, making friends is important, but so is killing. Power and position are won through battle. The foundation of our flame-wind ancient country lies in the land of origin, Emperor Qing addressed the 11 emperors. Therefore, we should try our best to befriend him. After all, if things truly escalate, the ancestor and I can hunt him down outside. But within the land of origin, he could cause utter chaos. Mutual destruction is undesirable, Emperor Qing stated. Yes, the 11 emperors responded in agreement. The land of origin is only so vast. Logically, such a strong entity shouldn't suddenly emerge, Emperor Qing said thoughtfully. I'll ask the Lord of 10,000 Realms to see if it's him. The 11 emperors were also waiting. Their prime suspect at the moment was indeed the Lord of 10,000 Realms. Previously, they had confirmed the black-robed figure to be Di Fu of Luo He, but now some doubts arose. After all, it's been not long since Luo He achieved the godly king realm. Could he suppress 8 emperors working together? And without leaving any traces? Whoosh! Emperor Qing sat there. Yet a ripple had already crossed vast distances, descending upon the capital of Wanjie Kingdom. Lord! A thought arrived in this capital. The Lord of 10,000 Realms was currently in closed-door cultivation. He was tall and had a gentle appearance. Looking up at the condensing figure of Emperor Qing in front of him, he couldn't help but sigh, "Old friend, your strength has become more and more unfathomable." In this era, only the two of them on the land of origin had comprehended the complete Great Tao. They were competitors as well as fellow travelers. It's just that Emperor Qing's resource conditions were much better than the Lord of 10,000 Realms, taking a step ahead to reach above God King. And he began to venture into the outside world, increasing the gap between them. Venturing into the outer worlds, although more dangerous, also offers more experiences and opportunities. Emperor Qing smiled at the Lord of 10,000 Realms. I invited you to join me in the past, yet you were reluctant. You reached above God King before venturing out. I still remain in the ultimate realm, said the Lord of 10,000 Realms. The difference between the ultimate realm and above God King is qualitative. Ordinary beings in the ultimate realm, life in the outside worlds, is still too harsh for them. We are both creatures nurtured by the source world, protected by the supreme rules of the source world, Emperor Qing said. Even if our avatars die in the outside worlds, the avatars that stay at home can recover their strength and dispatch new avatars. This is the advantage of creatures from the source world. Born in the source world and possessing clone technique, the likelihood of death becomes very low. I've heard that the outer worlds also face a great crisis. It could even affect the avatars within the source world, said the Lord of 10,000 Realms. Yes. Emperor Qing said, if you're really unlucky and encounter high-level primordial life. Their level of life, their realm, is too high above us. Even though the supreme rules can block many attacks, soul pollution is unavoidable. Once we're contaminated, all our avatars' souls will be contaminated. Too strong contamination, even avatars will completely perish, Emperor Qing explained. Previously, Luo Feng's spiritual will in the ultimate realm of God King, just a segment of a dream vision, resulted in a mild contamination. High-level primordial life, so terrifying, the Lord of 10,000 Realms was shocked. The probability is very low, Emperor Qing said. Predecessors like Yuan are also trying to protect us, the weaker ones, and are working hard to nurture us. Thus, we only face low-level primordial life. If a low-level primordial life could evolve into a high-level primordial life, and we happen to encounter it, that would just mean we have bad luck. You see, the ancestors of the two countries also lived for so long, Emperor Qing smiled. As long as we are a bit more careful and avoid the most dangerous places, those of us from the source world with avatars are relatively safe. Is it true that most creatures from outside worlds don't have avatars? The Lord of 10,000 Realms asked curiously. Emperor Qing nodded. Only creatures born in the source world might have avatars. That's also an advantage of us, the creatures of the source world. The Lord of 10,000 Realms nodded in understanding. By the way, that black-robed figure who killed Di Yuan, do you know his identity? Asked Emperor Qing. The battle back then was massive. I observed from a distance and only saw the endless blood river and the primordial space 8 phases array. I couldn't see through the identity of the black-robed figure, said the Lord of 10,000 Realms. You didn't suspect it was me? On the surface, the most likely one in the land of origin with the strength to do this would be you, Emperor Qing said with a smile. But I know you too well, it's not your style. The Lord of 10,000 Realms nodded. I too wonder, just who is this black-robed figure? Even the 8 emperors using the primordial space 8 phases array couldn't stand against him, yet he managed to suppress it. Emperor Qing frowned. If it's not you, and it can't be the East Extreme Domain ancestor, then who could it be? The rise of a strong entity is a process. From primal chaos realm, first realm of godly king, second realm of godly king, to the ultimate realm, growing step by step. In theory, there should be traces, the Lord of 10,000 Realms said. The Lord of the Shadow Sky realm also cultivates the matter and infinite great Taos. If he achieves ultimate, by pioneering a new great Tao and being recognized by the infinite space, he could exchange for a very suitable and powerful secret treasure for himself. It is possible to exert such strength, the Lord of 10,000 Realms speculated. The infinite space rewards generously for pioneering a great Tao. The fire ancestor is even more favored by Yuan and also has a slim possibility. And that Luo He who just entered the primal chaos realm, is already demonstrating a transcending primal chaos strength. Just becoming a godly king, he is already the strongest first realm godly king ever known. Just entering the second realm of godly king, he is capable of contending with the dark sky venerable of the destruction army. This Luo He could also possibly create miracles. The Lord of 10,000 Realms thought, considering the entire land of origin, those capable of creating miracles, doing inconceivable things, could only be these 3. Other cultivators' talents all fall short compared to them. Shadow Sky Realm, Fire Ancestor, Luo He. Emperor Qing smiled. No rush, with such strength, he will reveal more and more of himself. The Lord of 10,000 Realms nodded. The strength of the black-robed figure is too terrifying. They don't want to risk exposing his identity. Flame Wind Ancient Country and Thunder Ancient Country occupy the very center of the land of origin, which is also the most prosperous area. Surrounding them are also Tianmu Kingdom, Wanjie Kingdom, 2 top-tier countries, and a large number of second- and third-tier countries. The Iron Demon Lord, ranked first in sins in the land of origin, initially dominated a second-rate country, and even essentially controlled the surrounding dozen or so countries, as he had once plundered the populations of 12 countries in one swoop. The surrounding godly kings had long fled, not willing to be neighbors with this Iron Demon Lord. Now, Di Yuan is dead, and the Iron Demon Lord has also disappeared. The surrounding dozen or so countries have lost their leader. Naturally, there were undercurrents of strife. The territory actually controlled by the Iron Demon Lord includes 3 second-rate countries and 13 third-rate countries. A total of no less than 359 primal chaos prefectures. Such a vast area qualifies to establish a first-rate country. There are many forces coveting this territory. There are forces backed by the 2 ancient countries, the 3 alien clans, and that black-robed figure might also intervene. Various forces initially restrained themselves, but over time they gradually began to fight each other. Huyang City, city owner's mansion. Luo Feng was inside the Star Tower, examining the spoils of war before him. A red cloak, a set of armor, a bead, a pair of gloves, and a pair of combat boots. 5 beyond God King level secret treasures. Luo Feng was also studying the mysteries contained in these treasures. Unfortunately, these 5 treasures are most suitable for Di Yuan. Each one is centered around the origin Tao of the world. These 5 treasures. Each one is centered around the origin Tao of the world, while also encompassing many other mysteries. Clearly, they are above the godly king level. This bead, for instance, has some use. Luo Feng picked up a black bead containing an evolving abyss. This bead, with the world at its core, and accommodating both the paths of life and destruction. The 3 paths evolve the abyss together. It is somewhat helpful for me. These gloves also hold some mysteries of the destruction path. As for the other treasures, I can't use them at all. Luo Feng felt helpless. Exchanging treasures in the infinite space treasure vault, one can freely choose, selecting what is most suitable for oneself. But what about the spoils of war from killing Di Yuan? No choice, they were the secret treasures suitable for Di Yuan. Even this bead is centered around the Tao of the world. Luo Feng was somewhat disdainful. This abyss pearl could be used to aid in cultivation, but was unsuitable for combat. These 5 treasures are wasted in my hands. I should think of a way to sell them. Luo Feng pondered. Master, Morosa suddenly transmitted a message. Luo Feng's thoughts moved, summoning Morosa in. What's wrong? Luo Feng looked at Morosa. Master, the realm essentially dominated by the Iron Demon Lord has now erupted into conflict between various parties. Morosa couldn't help but say, shall we intervene and seize that territory? Luo Feng waved his hand, and a vast map of the land of origin appeared before him. The Iron Demon Lord essentially controlled 3 second-rate countries and 13 third-rate countries. The territory is quite extensive, Luo Feng observed. It was the support from Di Yuan that enabled him to govern such a territory. Morosa spoke. Di Yuan's death naturally attracted many forces. Such a vast territory, with its regular output of rare natural treasures, the residence fees provided by countless cultivators, and even some demons devouring creatures, this vast area will attract many ancient existences. They are now fighting. Even minor repercussions will affect many weaker cultivators. Morosa looked at Luo Feng. If the master were to govern this territory, it could also become stable. Luo Feng carefully observed the land of origin map, pondering for a moment. Killing these great sinners does indeed leave behind quite a bit of territory. Luo Feng looked down and casually drew a line. The territory of the Iron Demon Lord, the territory of the Black Vulture Ancestor, and the leftover territory of the Sky Hu God King, are all in this area. With this stroke, the Iron Demon Lord was between the 2 ancient countries. The Black Vulture Ancestor was on the side of the Thunder Ancient Country. The line drawn by Luo Feng completely encapsulated both, as well as some countries, forming a slender strip-shaped territorial pattern. This territory has been in long-term conflicts, and there are many demons lurking, Luo Feng said. We'll take it over. Master, the Black Vulture Ancestor is still alive and is in control of this territory. He actually controls 287 primal chaos prefectures. It's said that he controls it, but in reality, it's the Thunder Mountain monarchs behind him. Morosa couldn't help but say, we've just seriously offended the Flame Wind Ancient Country, and now we're going to take away such a large territory from the hands of Thunder Mountain. Does the Black Vulture Ancestor have an opinion? Or do the monarchs behind him dare have an opinion? Luo Feng glanced at Morosa. Morosa shivered. He was still too timid. We'll follow the master's decision, Morosa immediately responded. Luo Feng looked at the territory map before him. With this stroke, He had delineated a territory comprising 729 primal chaos prefectures. In terms of size, it was much larger than Tianmu Kingdom, Wanjie Kingdom, and East Extreme Domain, and it came close to matching the two ancient countries. This video will end here.